All right, folks, today we've got a guest who's not just running for Congress, he's trying to rewrite the whole operating system. Floyd Michael Taylor is an independent candidate for Indiana's 9th congressional district. He's a cancer survivor, a long-term Southern Indiana business owner, a guy who spent the last 25 years building and securing systems for Indiana universities, government, and even national defense. Now he's decided to take that same precision and put it toward politics. His Congress app is designed to bring direct democracy into the 21st century. Every bill posted in plain English, every voter able to give real, verifiable input, and his vote in D.C. tied directly to the will of you, the people. No parties, no PACs, no handlers, just radical transparency and open books. An auditable chain from your voice to the law itself. So let's find out if open source politics can actually debug Congress. Please welcome Floyd Michael Taylor. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. You stole a lot of my thunder there.
Why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Well, I've been in Indiana for a quarter century, worked at Indiana State University and Purdue University, Fort Knox, and a few smaller companies. I've been fully investigated and granted a top secret clearance for the DoD. And I've been living in Washington County for the last 13 plus years. My life's work's pretty much been fixing broken systems, and I'm not a politician. I'm a fixer. I built secure systems for the military, university, and businesses, and I've always focused on one thing. When something's broken, you don't paper over it, you fix it. And that's the same approach I'm bringing to Congress.
What prompted you to run for Congress in Indiana's 9th? And what unique perspective do you bring to this race?
I'm running for Congress because Congress has stopped listening to the people. Both parties are locked in this donor-driven game, and ordinary Hoosiers are left out. I've been listening to people complain about their government and their representation for years, and I thought, I could fix that. My perspective is different because I don't just talk about reform. I've built a new model of representation. Through the Congress app, my votes will be bound to the verified will of my constituents, published in real time, with no corporate donors, no PACs, no lobbyists, just the people of Indiana's 9th District in control of their own representation.
If elected, what will your top 3 legislative priorities be, and which one do you plan to push the hardest in your first 100 days?
Well, I've already written 3 bills that address some of our most urgent needs. A Fair Wage for All Act that eliminates the federal tip credit and guarantees full minimum wage for anybody who works. And it creates a fund for rural businesses to get them over that hump of not paying minimum wage. I've got a last mile Broadband and Workforce Hubs Act that connects every home and trains the workforce to build and maintain it all locally. And I've got a Rural Mobile Health Act that deploys mobile clinics to underserved areas, offers free health care for those who can't afford it, with no new taxes. And which one do I push hardest in the first 100 days? That's really not for me to decide. Those are only 3 of almost 20 bills I've drafted so far, each with the plain language explanations and fiscal impact statements. I'll put it all to the people through the Congress app, and whichever priority my constituents choose, that's the one I'll fight for first.
The district includes cities like Bloomington, New Albany, Batesville, and rural counties. How would you address the differing needs of urban, suburban, and rural communities in your district?
Well, the needs of Bloomington aren't the same as Batesville or our rural communities. That's why the Congress app is so important. It gives every community direct voice in setting priorities. Urban areas may push for research and transit, rural areas for broadband and health care, suburban areas for housing and small business support. My job is to make sure all of those voices are heard, logged, and acted on transparently.
Representative Aaron Houchin currently holds the seat. What would you do differently if elected, and how do you measure success in your term?
Well, I won't measure success by press releases or partisan wins. I'll measure it by receipts, bills passed, dollars delivered, loopholes closed, all visible in the Congress app. Success is when families in Indiana's 9th can see in real time what I've done for them. And I'll measure success by the members of Congress that fear me and my platform. Because when I prove this model works, the rest of them won't survive another election cycle.
Inflation, cost of living, and wage stagnation are front of mind for many voters. What specific economic policies would you support to help working families in the Ninth District?
Well, I've written some bills to address that. I've got the Fair Wage for All Act that ends the tip worker carve out, the Community AI and Data Center Development Act to promote data center development and promote jobs and infrastructure investment in the communities. I've got the Rural Equipment Freedom Act that protects farmers' right to repair their own equipment. It blocks corporate lockouts and requires corporations to provide access to tools, manuals, and diagnostics. And I've got the Constituent First Budget Act to require federal budget proposals and appropriations to be transparent, accessible, and subject to direct constituent input before enactment, and to prohibit hidden earmarks and donor-driven carve-outs. I've also got a Senior Home Protection and Property Tax Relief Act that waives property taxes for owner-occupied primary residences owned by individuals who have reached the retirement age. And they're not slogans, they're bills, drafted, ready, and the people will decide which ones I push first.
Healthcare access, mental health, and prescription drug costs remain major challenges. What plans do you have to make healthcare more affordable and accessible for your constituents?
Healthcare is broken because it's been written by lobbyists, and my approach is different. I have the Rural Mobile Health Access Act that deploys mobile clinics and offers free care with no new taxes. Medicare Comprehensive Care Act expands coverage to include dental, vision, and hearing, and full-cost prescription drugs, to eliminate income-based premium tiers, and to remove Medicare premiums for seniors with incomes under $100,000. We've got a Medicaid Integrity Access and Accountability Act that ensures Medicaid dollars actually reach patients, not middlemen. It amends Title 19 of the Social Security Act to strengthen the program, expand access to primary and behavioral care, reform pharmacy benefit management, and increase transparency in Medicaid. And again, every step will be transparent in the Congress app so people can see what's being delivered. Bills actually cut billions with a B in federal spending while providing more and better services.
Infrastructure often lags in rural areas. Which infrastructure projects in the Ninth District do you believe are most in need? And how would you secure federal support?
Our district needs three things the most. Rural broadband. I have the Rural Last Mile Broadband and Workforce Hubs Act. Local energy independence, and I have the Energy Independence Act so community-based power can be hooked up to the grid without penalties or too much paperwork. And our roads and water systems are just basics that have been neglected for too long. I'll secure federal support by tying every project to public dashboards or receipts. When Washington sees that the projects are shovel-ready and publicly verified, it's harder for them to say no.
How do you view U.S. immigration policy and border security? And what balance should be struck between enforcement, legal migration, and humanitarian obligations?
The system should be legal, fair, and transparent. Enforcement without fairness is cruelty. Open borders without enforcement is chaos. The balance is clear rules enforced consistently with humanitarian standards intact. And through the Congress app, my votes on immigration will reflect the will of people of Indiana's 9th District, not the talking points of either party.
What's your position on reproductive rights and abortion access, especially given how divisive this issue is in many Indiana communities?
I don't really need a personal position on this issue because my vote will be bound to the people of this district. Through the Congress app, every constituent has a voice, and the majority will decide how I vote. That's how representation is supposed to work.
Supposed to, but doesn't really do that in our system of government. Accountability often comes up in politics. How will you ensure you remain accountable to your constituents?
Accountability is the core of my campaign. The Congress app will show every vote, every bill, every dollar. I'll hold at least monthly virtual town halls, and I'll go anywhere I'm invited, anytime. And I will never take money from special interests, because the moment you do, you stop being accountable to the people.
In today's polarized climate, How will you promote civil dialogue and collaboration across party lines? And when will you refuse to compromise on your principles?
Congress app forces civil dialogue because it makes the people a referee. I'll work with anyone across party lines if it delivers results for Indiana's 9th District. But I will not compromise on transparency, accountability, or selling out to donors. And when Congress tries to play games, I'll call them out publicly because sunlight is the best disinfectant.
What do you see as the biggest challenge facing the Ninth District, and how do you propose to solve it?
The biggest challenge is division. People don't trust government and they don't trust each other. The solution is radical transparency. The Congress app makes betrayal impossible because every vote is bound to the people and published in real time. When people see the system working for them, trust follows.
How will you engage with voters who feel disillusioned or believe politics doesn't serve them? What outreach strategies will you use in often overlooked areas? I know you've answered this multiple times. So instead of answering that question, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this Congress app?
Well, it's a app that I've put together. You can get to it at thecongressapp.com, and it gives you choices. It's compatible with your phone. You could submit bills. You can vote on bills. You can submit cases. You could submit problems. You can just whine. It has a countdown to my next events. It's kind of an all-in-one. It needs some work because I'm not a professional coder, but it's up, it's live, and it's usable, and anybody can get to it. You don't even have to be a voter.
Finally, what one promise or standard will you refuse to compromise on if you become their representative?
I will never sell my vote. No donor, no PAC, no lobbyist will ever own me. My only allegiance is to the people of Indiana's 9th District, and every receipt in the Congress app will prove it.
And now, with that part done, let's start the rapid fire bonus round. A series of yes no
Yay.
questions, no explanation, just one word, yes or no. Do you believe members of Congress should have term limits?
Yes.
Would you vote to ban members of Congress from trading individual stocks while in office?
Yes.
Do you support legalizing marijuana at the federal level?
Yes.
Should the U.S. government be required to balance its budget every year like the states do?
Yes.
Would you support a federal law guaranteeing access to abortion up to viability?
Yes.
Would you vote to raise congressional salaries during your own term?
No.
Should the U.S. end the Electoral College and move to a national popular vote?
Yes.
And finally, do you believe Indiana should have the choice for ranked choice voting?
Definitely, yes.
All right. That's Floyd Michael Taylor, independent candidate for Indiana's 9th congressional district. Whether you agree with his approach or not, you've got to admit the man's not just talking about transparency. He's trying to code it into the system. In a world where most politicians guard their donors tighter than nuclear codes, Floyd's saying, here's the app, here's the data, here's your voice, use it. And honestly, that's the kind of disruption Washington can use a little more of. Floyd, thanks for taking time to sit down and talk about what open source democracy might look like in real life. To everyone watching, if you're tired of politics as usual, maybe it's time to look at the unusual. You can learn more about Floyd Michael Taylor and his campaign for Indiana's 9th at his website, which we will link in the description. As always, hold him accountable, folks, and until next time, farewell.